Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the swear word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear, and hey, this is a podcast for the Chilean community by the Chilean community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is the place for you. Up tonight, we have an amazing episode. We are going to be discussing the story of the North American landrace peppers. So, episode 137 starts now. What's going on, Swear Nation? So glad to have everyone here. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, or Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for being here and continuing to make this podcast what it is. Continue to share this out with other like-minded individuals or people that are just curious about the world of hot, because it's where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. As I had mentioned a second ago, we are going to be talking about the North American landrace peppers. So, for just a moment, imagine with me here that you're holding a single pepper seed in your hand. It's tiny, it's fragile, almost forgettable. But that seed could carry hundreds, maybe even thousands of years of human history. It's connecting us to the ancient Native American farmers all the way to the early explorers who helped spread these peppers across the world, to families saving seeds in their backyard gardens, and even to those scientists who have been growing peppers in outer space. That's the story that we're going to be diving into today. That's the fiery journey of the North American landrace peppers. We are going to trace their roots from wild chiltepíns all the way to the iconic heritage peppers like the chamoy. So we'll explore how many peppers have shaped culture, survived extinction threats, and why seed banks are working tirelessly to preserve their legacy. So sit back, because tonight, every word we speak is rooted in the story that begins with a seed. Before Europeans ever tasted chili peppers, Native Americans were cultivating them, cooking with them, trading them, and even using them in rituals and medicine. So, picture this, if you will. Thousands of years ago, in the arid landscapes of what is now northern Mexico and the American Southwest, indigenous farmers were carefully tending to the fiery little peppers that were under the blazing sun. Their hands were stained, and the scent of the spice was all over them. They weren't just using these crops, they were the lifelines woven into the fabric of daily life. Now, what exactly do we mean when we say landrace? It is a pepper variety that has adapted to a specific region over hundreds, sometimes even thousands of years. Think of them kind of like the local originals. They thrive in the soil, climate, and traditions of the community. So think of it as being a great way to being adapted into their original habitat. That's the result of generations of farmers selecting seeds for flavor, for heat, and the ability to withstand drought, pests, and just simply it became a partnership between the people and the land itself. One of the best examples still growing today is the chiltepín. Often called the mother of all peppers, this wild chili, native to the northern Mexico and the American Southwest, is small, it's round, and it packs a fiery punch. This punch is enough to make your eyes water just thinking about it. Archaeological evidence, including ancient pottery and preserved seeds, were found in caves. This suggests that Native Americans were not only foraging these peppers, but also cultivating them, making the chiltepín one of the earliest ancestors of some of today's cultivated capsicum annuums, and some sites date even back over 6,000 years, just showing you how deep these roots go. And it wasn't just for food. Peppers had a spiritual and medicinal value. Tribes in what is now Arizona and New Mexico use them in remedies for colds, stomach issues, and even to ward off evil spirits. Imagine a healer crushing dried chiltepíns in a pulmis, or a shaman using them in their fiery heat for a cleansing ritual. To many indigenous peoples, peppers were much more a medicine as they were a seasoning, a gift from the earth that could heal the body and protect the soul. Just like maize or beans, chilies were traded among the tribes. They carried across vast distances and were woven into the cultural practices. Now, just picture a bustling marketplace hundreds of years ago. There's baskets of dried chilies. They're vibrant red and green, catching the sunlight. This started to begin this exchange right along with pottery and turquoise and woven textiles. These peppers weren't just substance, they were currency, they were connection, and they were the culture. So, from the very beginning, peppers in North America weren't just plants, they were culture barriers, carrying stories of resilience and adaptation in every fiery bite. From the wild to widespread, the overall growth of these landrace peppers, once the Spanish colonizers arrived in the Americas in the late 15th century, peppers became global travelers. Through the Columbian Exchange, they spread like wildfire to Europe, Africa, Asia, transforming cuisines. But back in North America, something equally fascinating was happening. A quieter, more intimate evolution was happening. Local landrace peppers begin to form. These peppers were growing consistently in certain regions, selected by families over generations. These seeds were saved not for uniformity, like the modern agriculture prefers, but for taste, heat, and resilience. Farmers weren't just chasing perfect shapes or shelf life. They wanted peppers that sang with flavor and burned just right, or could even survive a harsh summer. This was personal. It was art. Take the Chimayó chili in New Mexico. It's been cultivated for over 400 years in the high desert of the Chimayó Valley. Families still save seeds each season, passing them down like heirlooms. The Chimayó chili is so tied to the soil and the climate of that valley that the peppers grown elsewhere just don't taste the same. The same concept is used in wine. The land shapes the flavor. The sandy loam, the cold nights, the intense sun, they all leave their marks on every pod. So bite into Chimayó chili, and you're tasting New Mexico itself. Other examples include the Pueblo chilies in Colorado with their smoky depth. And you have the Pasilla variety that is in Mexico, which helps bring a rich, earthy note to the moles and the salsas. But then there are countless small, local adapted peppers that have never made it into the national fame, but they are beloved in their region. Peppers grown in tiny plots behind adobe homes or community gardens, their names simply only known by the families who tend for them. So here's the thing. Small growers protect diversity. Commercial farmers, even back then, wanted peppers that were uniform, thick-walled, easy to transport, and predictable in yield. But those heritage growers, no, they were the keepers of the flame. They didn't care about standardization. They cared about flavor, tradition, and survival. They kept the rainbow of pepper diversity alive, from the reds to the greens to the purples, the yellows, and with each its own story. And that's how the landrace pepper survived. Not because of corporations, but because of culture, care, and stubborn love for the land. On one hand, the rise of the grocery stores and the global food supply chain, demanding consistency and overall uniformity. That's why we see the same peppers that most of us always find in these big box stores. Things like bell peppers, jalapenos, poblanos. These were chosen not because they were the most flavorful, but because they were easy to grow, easy to ship, and reliable in size. They are the workhorses of the pepper world, bred for durability over characteristics. And that is why the supermarket jalapeno might taste fine, but lack the soul of a hand-grown landrace. But while diversity shrank in supermarkets, something incredible was happening somewhere else. Peppers made it to space. In 2021, astronauts aboard the International Space Station successfully grew hatch chili peppers in microgravity. Think about that for a second. The same chili that represents New Mexican identity, roasted and roadside stands and celebrated at festivals, was being harvested in orbit 250 miles above Earth. So NASA's experiment wasn't just about whether peppers could grow in space. It was about whether astronauts could enjoy fresh food that connects them to their cultural roots. Imagine an astronaut just floating around in a sterile spacecraft, biting into a freshly picked hatch chili. A taste of home now starts to, fill the void of space. And it wasn't just science, it was a comfort food on a cosmic scale. That contrast says everything about peppers. On Earth, industrial agriculture often strips them of their identity, turning them into predictable conformities, commodities even. But in space, peppers can become a symbol of simply home, showing resilience and even enduring the power of culture. So, what happens to these extinct and or endangered peppers? Let's shift focus a bit here to more talking about the ones that we've lost and the ones that are hanging on by a thread. Peppers are no different than any other crop. If they're not grown, they disappear. And many local land-raised peppers have vanished because younger generations stop planting them, or because climate conditions have changed, or because markets don't simply support them. It's a quiet kind of extinction, one that doesn't make headlines, but cuts just as deep. The Chimayó chili almost went extinct in the 20th century as industrial farming took over and fewer families maintained their seed-saving traditions. It was the community pride that revived it. Farmers, chefs, and locals who refused to let their heritage disappear. Today, the Chimayó chili carries geographic indication protection, much like the Champagne in France or the Parmigiano Reggiano in Italy. It's a mark of authenticity, a way to say this pepper belongs to this place. But that revival was a close call. It took the effort of everyone, pouring out the love and a little bit of stubbornness to make sure that it ended up surviving. Other peppers weren't so lucky. Countless unnamed landrace peppers grown in small villages or family plots simply just disappeared quietly. And when the last farmer who saved the seed had passed away, some were never even documented. Their names never given, flavors never known, and stories gone forever. Others survived as entries in seed bank catalogs. Their seeds frozen in time, but no longer grown in the fields that they were once born. The loss isn't just botanical, it's cultural. Every extinct pepper takes with it recipes, festivals, family traditions, and the unique flavors that they once defined. As climates begin to shift, that's another added layer of threat. Shifting the weather patterns of hotter summers, unpredictable rains, things like this can make it harder for landrace peppers to survive in these regions that they once were adapted to. And when small farmers can't afford to keep growing them, or when markets favor mass produced hybrids, the incentive to preserve these peppers fades. And the race against time begins. And not every pepper will win. So, what about the US seed banks? Are these truly the guardians of diversity? Are they the unsung heroes of this story? Well, seed banks are much like time capsules. They preserve not just food security, but cultural memories. In the US, the National Plant Germplasm System is a major player, not with facilities like the ones in Fort Collins, Colorado, that are dedicated to preserving crop genetics, but the seeds are stored in a controlled environment. They're cold, dry, and very carefully monitored to ensure that they remain viable for decades, even centuries. Imagine rows of sealed packets, each one holding a piece of history. A Pueblo chili from Colorado farm, a Mexican landrace, a forgotten pepper from a Texas backyard. But seed banks aren't just sterile vaults. They represent hope. They also allow future generations to rediscover varieties that might not even be grown today. Scientists can study them, farmers can replant them, and communities can revive the flavors of their ancestors. The work is meticulous, testing seeds for the viability, documenting their origins, and sometimes even growing them out to ensure that they're still true to their roots. And here's the point I love. While official seed banks are critical, so are living seed banks. These are, backyard gardeners, the community farmers, and the chili heads saving seeds from each harvest and sharing them online or at seed swap events. They are the ones who keep the peppers alive, not just in the freezer, but in the soil. Picture a New Mexico grandmother. She's out there teaching her grandkids how to dry and save landrace seeds, or an online forum where pepper enthusiasts trade rare varieties like baseball cards. These living seed banks are just as important because no vault, no matter how high tech, can replace the cultural act of saving seeds, planting them, and tasting the pepper in its homeland. Together, these efforts, from high-tech facilities to dirt under the fingernails of gardeners, are the things that are keeping the diversity of landrace peppers alive. There are simply a reminder that preservation isn't just about science. It's about stories, it's about connection, and it's about the stubborn nature to refuse to let history just fade away. So, where does all this leave us? The future of landrace peppers depends on the balance. On one side, there's a push for hybrids, new breeds, and superhots. Peppers engineered for extreme heat or perfect shelf life. On the other side, there's tradition, keeping alive the seeds that tell the stories of resilience and history. Movements like community-supported agriculture, seed-saving exchanges, and heritage branding are just simply helping. just like the Hatch chili or the Chimayó chili, bringing pride and economic value to the regions. More land races could gain recognition if people championed them. Farmers markets or, local food festivals, and even just on social media, giving these peppers a stage to shine. Imagine, if you will, in this crazy day and age where everyone's so fascinated with what's going on, on their TikToks and so on. Imagine a viral TikTok that's of a farmer roasting a rare Pueblo chili, or a chef showcasing a forgotten Mexican landrace in a new dish. These moments matter, but the responsibility is shared. Farmers need markets to sell their peppers. Consumers need awareness to seek them out. And all of us need to remember that biodiversity isn't just a scientific concept. It's dinner. Every time you choose a heritage pepper over a generic supermarket jalapeno, you're casting your vote for diversity, for flavor, and for history. Every bite of a heritage pepper isn't just spice, it's survival. So the next time you hold a pepper, whether it's a tiny chiltepín or a big glossy bell pepper, think about the journey that it represents. Think about the native farmers who first cultivated them, the explorers who carried them across the oceans, the families who saved seeds for centuries, and even think about the scientists who have grown them in space. The story of the North American landrace pepper isn't just agriculture. It's humanity in a pod. Fiery, resilient, ever adapting, and full of flavor. And maybe, just maybe, the real future of peppers lives in how we honor their past. I hope you enjoyed tonight's podcast discussing the North American landrace peppers and all the great history and the ways in which that we as a community can continue to vote for them, continue to champion them, and keep them around and keep them strong in our overall community, online scene, and passed down through culture. If you would like to learn more about these topics or any others, let me know down in the comments. If you have had a landrace pepper that absolutely is one that blows you away every time in the flavor and the spice, whatever the case may be, let me know down below. I would love to know which landrace pepper stands out the best to you. And it was great to see and meet everyone that came out to the Austin Chronicle event. It was an amazing time. If you didn't make it out there, definitely should check that one out next year, as well as we have the League of Fire Houston belt match coming up. I will be out there September 26th, so see you there. Definitely do a nice meet and greet. Grab yourself a spicy cocktail. Have a great time. As well as we have North Texas Hot Sauce Fest that'll be happening at Martin House Brewing on October 18th. Tickets are free. Tons of great hot sauce companies from Texas that will be showing up. There's going to be kid-friendly event stuff. There's going to be all kinds of fun to be had. So head on over there, have fun, and I will meet you there as well. Want to say thank you so much for everyone that has recently found the podcast or jumped in and left some great comments or feedback. Thank y'all so much. If you're on a platform that allows for a review for the podcast, go ahead and leave that down below. It helps get out there in front of the algorithm. Get in front of other chili heads. Don't forget, new episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central. And I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsors, podvision.io. If you are looking to grow your brand, start your brand, you've hit a bump in the road, you're trying to figure things out, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all those needs, as well as webdx.one. Maybe you have an online site, maybe you had someone at one point, maybe you lost contact with them. Highly recommend checking out webdx.one for all of those needs. They make it simple, painless, and easy. Best of all, you get to focus on what you do best while they get you looking great online. I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.